What up, fishes? Oh, let's turn that down. No, I don't need to hear myself. Who's here? Is it only me? What happened? I know there were two other people there a second ago. I'm gonna have to do like I did last week. Oh, what's up, Danny? How you doing, buddy? You're the only one here so far, so you get like one-on-one attention. I'm not sure that's what you wanted, but you got it. You got any questions on what you've been working on? No? You just came to see my face? I'll I'll give it a minute, and then I'll start a 5-minute countdown to see if anybody else joins us. Let me ask you this: did you get the reminder email this morning? Did you see that one? No? Or you didn't check your email yet? I sent out a reminder email about 15 minutes before going live here, just to make sure everybody knew. It says 2 are watching now. I might be one of those. Oh, you didn't check it yet. Okay. I put one of my other Google accounts on the other monitor so I can kind of watch and hopefully get a view of what you guys are seeing. It's like 3 seconds behind me live, so it's a little odd to watch. I see my head bobbing around after the fact, like 3 seconds later, but it helps me get an idea of what you guys are seeing. So Danny, how far into the project are you? How many screens are you done with? Any? Just started? So I'm going to switch over to my screen. So working, maybe getting ready to start on your landing page here? Yeah. Were you in last week's live stream where I laid this page out from scratch? Oh, you watched it after the fact? Okay, good. I'm glad to hear maybe some other people are watching after the fact as well too. So maybe I'll do a little bit more today, even if there's not too many people watching live, and then it'll at least be recorded for some people to go back to. All right. So I'm gonna move on. I did the landing page last week. I did this directory page last week. I give you a little reminder on that. That was, me laying out one picture or one. Actually, I just used the shape. I didn't put the picture in initially, and then convert that to a grid, right? And then once it was a grid, I'm going to go to the bottom. If I wanted to, I could keep stretching this out even after the fact. If I had more and more pictures, all right, I could repeat that grid over and over and over and over. And then as a reminder as well, if you hover in between two of the objects in that grid and you get that little pink bar, you can alter the spacing between those two. I don't want to do that. I actually don't want to add any more to the grid either, but and that makes it really easy. And then if you want to edit individual items inside of that grid. You can either double click an item to get to its handles, and you can see as I resize one, it resizes them all. So it's really kind of handy if I wanted to add, curved corners or rounded corners. It does the same, makes the same change to everything that's in that grid. That's kind of cool. I don't want rounded corners, so I'll undo that. All right, so that was that page. And then so this week, let's start working on this page. I would do the same thing though. Don't try and design don't try to design a finished product your first time through, as this is kind of a rough design, right? So let me get rid of all the stuff on this page. All right, all gone. The background I'm not going to redo. The background should be easy. That is a rectangle drawn out the size of the page, and then I've chosen a fill color over on the right hand side. That should be easy. Now, one thing that I've done on the last two pages so that I can have some margins and some spacing laid out is under, it's gonna be, is it under view? Yeah, I think I ended up using the layout grid. No, not the layout grid. Hide that. The square grid. Use the square grid to lay out some guides so that I've got some margins I can stay within and all of that good stuff. Once I laid those guides out, though, I turned that off because it's kind of messy to look at. So here we go. I know in my head, and not only in my head, but remember, hopefully you've sketched these out, at least sketched out some ideas. I know that I want the picture of the cook up top. So I'm going to draw a box for that. And I'm going to leave that with no border. I will make I think last week I chose purple because as I'm laying this out, I can remember purple for picture. All right, purple for picture. So I know, I'm kind of going by a sketch now. I know I wanted the picture of the cook there. I wanted the flag kind of somewhere either overlapping her picture, right near her picture somewhere. I'm not going to do that though. I'm going to use my Option or Alt key to drag a copy of that one just so I don't have to change all the fill color properties. And so I know my flag maybe somewhere in here. And matter of fact, I'm going to change the fill properties anyway so I can see that. It's still going to be purple, but a little bit different shade. All right. Hey, Tessa, what's happening? Oh, good. So Danny was telling me he went back and watched them too. So I'm glad to hear that people are checking those out. So I decided I'll go ahead and work here for a little while, even though there's only a couple people watching, handful of people, because it seems like you all are getting something out of the recordings as well. So anyway, I'll keep moving. So if you just hopped in, I'm moving on to the bio page. The last week I did these first two pages, just started to design a little bit. If you haven't watched any of the recordings or you haven't seen any of the live ones, the way I work through this is I just design in basic shapes first. And the way I know where my basic shapes need to go is I did some sketching first and actually drew out some screens and kind of started to brainstorm. I looked at I got some inspiration from other apps that I like and so forth. And so, I compiled my ideas on paper, got some in the back of my mind as well. But between, the things I've seen that I remember in my brain and the stuff I've got sketched, now I'm starting to put those onto the screen, but I'm only doing it in basic shapes. So I know that I want the cook's picture here, the flag maybe here. I definitely am going to need some text for her bio. So I will draw out a text box, and I'm not worried about what's going in there yet. Now, I don't know if we've ever talked about Lorem Ipsum. And you know what? I don't know in XD. This is something I'm figuring out on the fly right here with you. Um, I know my Media 3 folks who have used InDesign, we know there's a lorem ipsum or a placeholder text generator built into InDesign. I don't know if there is in XD. I don't think there is, but let's see here. Object text. I'm not finding it fast. So anyway, I'll use this as a reason to show you something kind of fun. So if you open a browser window and do a Google search for lorem ipsum generators. All right. And there are sites that will give you a list of different ones. So I'll hit this first one. And some of them are really fun. All right. So there's a straight up lorem ipsum generator. Okay, great. That's kind of boring. There's a Trump ipsum. There's a hipster ipsum. Let's see what else we got. Zombie ipsum. I love that. Let's try it. Let's see what that gives us. Oh, that's fantastic. So 50% more brains, regular or light. I'm going to go regular. And then you just tell it how many paragraphs of text you need. I'm going to go 1. And here it is. So I go and highlight all that and copy it and then go back to my XD document and oh gosh, what did I get there? There it is. All right. So way too big a font. I'm not gonna settle on font choices yet. All I'm gonna do is pick something that I think I like, and make it a font size that's more reasonable. All right, and a color that I can actually see. Where is my text color? Text color. Nope. There we go. There we go. All right. Left align. And okay. So far, so good. So I know I've got a text box I want to put there. And then I think what I want down here is I want the recipes. I think I have 6 photos for her, if I remember right. If I'm trying to think back to my original design. So I'm going to go with a perfect square, I think. And again, I'm kind of thinking out loud, working through this, trying to just come up with a design I like, trying to adhere to my sketches a little bit to see if I actually like the way those look once they are, once I've got them on screen. All right. So I'm going to have a picture there, and then I'm going to make another text box under that. And this is going to be my recipe name. Let's make that a little bigger, maybe 24, so you guys can see that. There we go. The spacing's not good in that. I don't really care at this point. I'm just trying to create. All right. There we go. Now I'm going to take these 2 pieces and I'm going to group them together. So object group or Control G, Command G, whatever. And then I'm going to turn that into this repeating grid. All right. So I know, I'm pretty sure anyway, I want 3 across. I will fix the spacing. There we go. All right, that's pretty good. And then I want a whole nother row below that. All right. So there's that. So, so far so good. And those are the main elements. I have enough on the page that I would start probably dropping in some images, making font choices, now starting to tweak things. I think one of the biggest things to pay attention to here, though, is the very first thing I did, which were drag out some guides. And unless it's something like a picture, notice my purple box, my picture goes all the way to the edge. Then unless that's the case, whatever the object is should stop at the margin. So notice my text box stops at the margin, and that creates a nice alignment down the left-hand side. Same thing on the right-hand side. It creates a nice alignment. And I might push that alignment even further by taking this text and I don't know if it'll let me do justified. I don't see just. I'll have to explore that a little bit, maybe under one of the menus. So justified means it would be flush against the left and flush against the right. But I'll explore that a little bit more in a little bit. So, like I said, though, at this point, I might start dropping in images just to see how things are coming together. So, if you weren't with me before, this is one of the things I love about Adobe XD is when I'm ready for a picture. In this case, I'm in a Finder window on the PC. It'd be an Explorer window, I think is what it's called, and I just drag and drop. And it's like dead simple. I love that. Let's see here. While I'm there, let's take the flag of Suriname and drop that in there. Let's see what else. Let's take our 6 recipe photos. So I've got I know I want coconut curry to be first. So I've got that. Maybe we'll do the nasi goreng, the pastry, and what else? I'll grab a couple here that I'm not even quite sure what they are. And drop those there. Give it a minute. All right. Oh, I must only drop 5 because I got a repeat here. And if that's the case, okay, great. Go back and get 6th. Drop that there. All right. Now, I know that I want my curry chicken to be first. So I'm going to make a couple little changes here and then go replace the, where are my kolache? Let's see here. There they are. Those things are delicious, by the way. All right. And so it's starting to come together. Now, some of these I want to reframe a little bit. I might want to reframe the picture of my cook. And the way to do that is to double click. Notice I just double clicked and now I can see the actual photo. And then let's reframe. Maybe, I don't think I want off center. I think I want more or less centered in that frame. Something like that. All right. This is, you see the flag is not fitting inside of that. So, yeah, too big. So there and there. I may actually, you know what? I want to do this. I want to do the flag differently. Instead of, now that I see how it's coming together, I'm going to get rid of that pre-made box and I'm just going to go grab the flag and add it to the page. And it's gigantic, but that's all right. We can resize that pretty quickly. There we go. And if you notice, well, you can't notice because you're not here with me. I am not holding down shift to resize this proportionally. I love that about XD as well. You don't have to hold down shift to resize things proportionally, right? Which is something most beginning designers have trouble with. Have trouble with. They make, stretch things out, squish them, whatnot, and that ain't okay. All right. Oh, what else am I not liking? I'm not liking the space here. The space between these objects in this grid to me is too far. So I'm going to close that up. All right. And I also would like them to be bigger. Now, I love about XD as well. If I select one of these objects in this grid that are all tied together and I go to resize it, oops, I'm resizing inside of that picture. Sorry. Let's go back. See if I can get just that one thing. I want to resize just that one picture frame. Let's see here. Let's go into. There we go. So this this is another maybe a new-ish feature. If you hadn't found where the layers were, I think they covered it in one of the tutorials. But over on the left-hand side, down this little blue icon, or at least it's blue right now, are my layers. And when I'm in my layers, I can see all of the pieces. This looks very similar to the way Illustrator's layers are laid out, actually InDesign's as well. So I can see there's my coconut curry chicken. So if I click that, now I've got hopefully that image frame. Nope, I've got that image. So it's it's resizing them all, and I like that, but it's resizing them in a way that I'm not a big fan of. So I'll go back to that at some point and figure that out. All right. And I'll either do it on the next live stream once I've figured it out on Thursday, or I'll record a little tip on how to, and hopefully you're getting what I'm struggling with. Because this is part of a grid, I can't resize that one image unless I either double click or if I control or command click. But when I do that, it's grabbing the photo and not the frame for the photo, if that makes sense. And so I really want to resize the frame. So I'm going to come back to that. And then I'll start making choices. Once I might actually kind of like this font. It's too small, I think. 12 point is not a bad font size, though. So it could be that once I see it on a device, it would look large enough. This might be one of those times. I'm going to save that and go up and hit the play button. And see, actually, that's not a bad font size. I might go another point or two larger, but it's not awful. All right, so let's go. There's 13. There's 14. I'm not going to go any bigger than that. And so I make some, I make some font choices, some font color choices. I think I would want a little bit more in the terms of space between lines. Give it a little bit of room to breathe. Make it a little bit more legible. All right. So again, XD is a very simple layout. Over here under my text properties, font name, right? Font size, font style. I've got space between characters. I've got space between lines, and then space after a paragraph. And if you stand there and hover, it'll tell you what those are. And that's basically all you need to lay out your prototype in terms of type options. All right. And once I know I'm kind of at a point where I like it pretty good, I might tweak it later. But now let's see what my actual text looks like in there. And so if you go to your folder of assets and go to the bio, so Nevea bio, and I double click that. It's just a text file. For you guys, it should open in something like Notepad. It might open in Word, but whatever the case may be, it'll open that and you just copy it and paste it. Now, if you're on a Mac, I think I'm going to get some funny spacing here, but let's see. No, I didn't. Okay. So there you go. So there's my bio. I don't want to go too much bigger, but it's not a lot of text. So maybe since it is only a bio and not like a large paragraph or a series of paragraphs, might go a little bit larger. Again, increase my line spacing. So I got there. All right. And you know what? It's not bad. It's not bad. All right. Anybody got any questions so far? Like, do such and such again. I missed how you did such and such. Nothing so far. All right. Now, if you think of some things that you've seen on other social media apps, if we look over here on this last screen that I had already laid out and designed, you've got a like, you've got a share, you've got a rating, you've got I added a little number for how many times this dish was cooked. All right, the app doesn't know if somebody cooked it, but you might be able to draw an inference from the fact that people either liked it or shared it, that it had been cooked this many times. So if I was looking through an app to find a recipe and I went, holy cow, almost 6,000 people have cooked this, it must be good, then I'd want to know that. I think it would be helpful. All right, let's see here. Why are the recipes not centered anymore? That's a good question. So I probably should have. Let's do this. I'm gonna undo that. What I probably should have done in my design was this. I'm gonna make an initial square. I want these to roughly be a third. So I'm gonna make my initial square, and then I am going to add a text below that for my recipe name. All right. Put that right up under there. And then group those two together. So I'm not going to go to the menu this time. I'm going to use the shortcut, which is Command or Control G. Now they're grouped. Now I'm going to turn that into a grid. And by the way, it'd be really cool if you guys thought I knew absolutely everything about every piece of software we ever used, but I'll give you a little hint. I don't. So I'm experimenting here a little bit to see if this works the way I'm going to want it to work. All right. So before I put photos inside of here, I'm going to stretch that grid out again. There are my 3 or almost 3. And now before there are photos, I'm going to pick one of those and resize that. Yeah, it's still not working the way I want it to. So as much as I like repeat grid, and I do, I might end up doing this a whole different way. So let me undo back to where I've got nothing but the box. All right. And I'm going to manually, let's see, I'm going to do some math here. Ready? So how wide is that right now? Width, it's 374. So let's go grabbing my phone. I should be able to do this in my head real fast, but I'm not going to. 374 divided by 3 boxes. That's 124 pixels. Let's say I want 4 pixels of space between. That'd make it 120. Now let's say it's 8 pixels of space in between, so that would be 116. So I'm gonna make this box 116 pixels wide. All right. And then I am going to drag a copy. And I'm dragging a copy by holding down Alt on Windows or Option on a Mac and just clicking and dragging. All right. And then I'm going to do, I'm going to put this one flush against this right hand guide. I'm going to put this one flush against the left hand. And if I remember right, again, there's a lot in XD I'm still learning myself. But if I remember right, and now I go select all 3. I'm holding down Shift to select all 3. And up at the very top right, there are all of the alignment options. I don't want to align. What I want to do, which is this 4th icon right here, is to distribute them equally across the area that I've got. And so if I click that, notice that it put obviously it put the center in the center, but what it was really doing was distributing the space equally between those objects. If I had 100 objects all just kind of haphazardly laid out, it would distribute them with equal space in between. And now I'm liking this a lot more than I did before. I'm going to put this back up here where it was. I'm actually going to, while I'm here, I hate having a border. I'll make the fill something brighter just for now so I can see what I'm working with. All right. And now I'm going to use the repeat grid, but not quite yet. I'm going to, again, drag a copy of all of the name. I'm going to group those two, select the middle square, and oh, not quite yet. Notice those aren't quite in alignment. Let's see here. There we go. Let's do it manually then. I'm trying to make it the exact width of the square. All right. The same thing over here. And that's the other great thing about XD. It shows me all these smart guides when things line up, and and is a really great visual. All right, group those two. Then group those two. Then I'm going to group those three groups together. And then I'm going to turn that into a repeat grid. And now all I got to do is drag down one time. All right. And now I am going to go drop my recipe photos in. The way this works is it drops them in the order in which they're listed in your Finder or your Explorer window on Windows. So if you want them to drop in a particular order automatically, then you're going to need to rename these in a way that forces them to be listed in the order you want. So for instance, coconut curry chicken, maybe I'd put the number 1 dash. After that, I don't really care, to be honest with you, what order they go in. All right, so that might be 2 dash. And again, I don't care about the order after that, so I'm going to leave that right there. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 pictures. Let's see here. Hopefully, I was wondering that. So, anybody know why I did that? Again, like I said before, I don't know at all. I'm experimenting too. It's because of the way I grouped these before I use the repeat grid, right? So I'm going to back up a little bit, and I'm going to undo that, and I'm going to completely do this manually now. All right. Now, what that means is I may have to drag these one at a time. In this case, it's not that big a deal. I've only got 6 pictures to do. 3. If you had something with a lot more photos, it could be a problem. But in this case, it doesn't bother me to do this. So there you go. I did that in probably 15 seconds. Now, though, I might start diving in. So double click a picture and maybe dive in and start reframing. No, it's not cooperating. All right, I'm going to work that out, figure out why that's not cooperating, because you should be able to dive in and resize that inside of its frame, and it's just not doing it. But I'm fairly pleased with my layout so far. I might go play it just to see what it looks like, make sure my scrolling is working. Yep, the scrolling is working. I haven't added any interactivity yet, so I'm not real worried about that. Yeah. So let me skip to that. And then I think if there aren't any questions, I might call it for today. It's been about a half hour. But before we leave, I'll skip over to prototype mode. And really the only thing that I want to tie from this particular screen over to the recipe, obviously, would be the picture of the recipe. So again, I either command or control click to get that picture itself and not the group. I don't want to do the group. I want to do that picture itself. And then I'll do the same thing with the text box below it. Do that one. And now those two things, if I play, should take me to the next screen. Yay! All right. The back button is already set up from last time. Notice the transition. Watch this really close. Notice this one, when I go to the next screen, it's just like a cross dissolve. And when I go back, it's kind of a slide. That is done. I got to remember, this is going to be... There we go. When you've got an object selected that's got a transition over on the right-hand side, there it is. So there's where it's set to cross dissolve. If I want it to, I can change it to slide or push. All right. So let's change it to, let's see, treat this like a book. If I'm moving to the right, that means this screen is going to move in from the left. So let's try slide left. Now let's try that out. Hey, slide left. All right. And on the back button, I slide back to the right. All right. So those are the kind of details. When you get the design right, you get the major interactive elements all linked together with the blue lines, then go like get really nitty gritty in the details and start deciding how the animations work when you transition from one screen to the next, right? All right. And again, at any time, if you want to or would like to, and you go to share and generate your link, copy and paste that link in an email to me, and I will go look at it, and I'll give you some comments on each page. A couple people have done that already. And then you go paste that link in a web browser and you'll be able to see the comments that I've given you. Real quick, one other tip though, before you do that and send it to me, under view setting right here, there are, was that 5 choices? Do the top one. That's the one that gives me the ability to do feedback. And by the way, you have to do that to get full points on the rubric anyway. You need to have it in design review mode and share it with a classmate and have them give you feedback on the design and how it's flowing and all the interaction and all of that. All right. All right. Throw some questions in there. Otherwise, we're going to call it a day. It's almost lunchtime. How about you guys? I'm getting hungry. And I will noodle around with the issue of these pictures not resizing inside of their frames the way I want them to, and either cover that on Thursday in our live stream or do a quick little video and put it up on the assignment as a tip. All right. Any questions? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I don't see any more questions. Last call. All right. I'll see you guys. Hopefully, you guys and a bunch more on Thursday. Bye-bye.